Everyone says to work hard, but if you don't know what to get good at and how to learn it fast, you just spin your wheels. When I came to the US, I did not have a business background or a roadmap. I wasn't from an entrepreneur family. I didn't really know how money worked in this country. And what changed my life wasn't real estate or getting into construction. It was learning how to learn new skills, change, and how to actually gain knowledge and use it. How to pull lessons from what's working and use it in my real life. That's the skill that got me from nothing to where I'm at today. Very blessed. So today I'm sharing it with you. If you're new here, my name is Omar Mohamed and I came to the US with nothing. And today I run my real estate portfolio and my construction business. This podcast, From Zero and a Dream, is where I share my story, bring on immigrants, entrepreneurs, and dreamers to give you real practical steps that you can use to change your life as well too. The only ask I have from you, if you get value from this show, is to follow, give it a review, and share it with a friend that's chasing the dream as well. When I got here to America, I did what people do. Went to work, clocked in, tried to figure things out as I went. But I kept running into walls because I didn't know what I didn't know. I thought the answer was just to work harder, but the real answer was learn faster. The turning point was when I realized that knowledge is a huge leverage. If you can learn new skills, you can change your situation, but you have to know how to learn them. So I started reading, but not just reading for the sake of it. Reading with purpose. I would ask, from this information that I'm getting, what can I use today and tomorrow? That's what changed everything for me. There's so much information out there and so many different avenues or opportunities that you can acquire this information, but it doesn't really affect you today. It doesn't really give you a step to go to the next one. So I was very picky with what information do I want to process, how can I learn it fast, and how can I implement it in real life so I can get ahead. And here's how I did it. I picked one skill at a time. When I was starting on this journey, I was trying to learn everything. You feel like you're an ocean. Because when you're starting something new, there's so much information around you, and that can be overwhelming. As an example, I was getting in real estate. I had to figure out how to learn, and I had no background about real estate. I had to figure out how to find deals, how to get these deals, how to write a contract. But then if I kept thinking about these things, I would have never started. So I focused on learning one thing. The breakthrough came when I said, let me master one thing first. Focus creates progress. Most people don't fail because of the lack of talent or skill. They're just so drawn into options. Second, I had to learn and read with purpose. I did not try to learn 50 books about real estate or trying to get every piece of information. I picked one book, one podcast, and I asked, how can I use this tomorrow? That's how you turn information into action. Reading so many books or getting so many information, you might think that's making you smart, but applying one lesson actually does. There's that saying that knowledge is power, but I believe that applied knowledge is power. You got the information, you gotta test it if it works or not, or if you need to tweak anything. So read with the purpose. And then what I found out is I could listen to a book. I don't just do the regular read. For some reason, I couldn't just sit in front of a book and read, but I do a lot of audibles. So I was like, while I was listening, while I'm driving or I'm on the road or at the gym, I would focus on what action steps can I learn from here? Can I take notes? So I would pull my phone. Sometimes I would screenshot the moment in the audiobook so I can come back to it later. And these things would be about what will I try out, what really stood out, and something I wanted to remember from this information I was getting. Then step number 4 is testing in real life. Again, as we were saying, applied knowledge is power. You got this information from social media, from a book, from a podcast. You gotta apply it. You gotta test it. Before, I would do that before I would gain even any more information down the road. So as an example, if we're going back to real estate, before I would say how to negotiate with a seller, I would learn first, okay, this is how you find deals. This is where to look for deals. Let's go test that, make sure it works. And then when the next question comes up, I will learn about that. You would see people go into seminars, trying to go to a master class, learning everything, but they missing the first point and then they never take action. So know what the next step is and learn this and then action. So the best thing I did was I knew what the next step I need. I learned everything about that only next step. I focused to get really good at it. And then when I got that next step and it worked, the step after that, I went and learned it. You will never actually learn everything until you really start. And there's some new things that will come. So don't be too focused on everything till you actually get started. So one step at a time. Step number 4, test in real life. This is where most people stop. They take notes and they know it, but they do nothing with it. I tested everything. So if they would say, okay, drive for dollars, I would drive for dollars and see if that worked for me or not, which means you drive around your neighborhood to see if you can find any vacant houses. If they say if you're on a cold call, here's the questions to ask on a cold call, I would ask these questions and see what results came. And I would scratch what's not working for me and keep the things that worked for me. Even for now, leadership skills, when I'm listening to a book and it says, okay, you should have a weekly call check-in with your employees or your managers, I will implement it. Then I'll reflect on it and see if it works or not. So make sure you test. Don't just become an information magnet that have all these information that might be useless or means nothing. Books won't change your life. Testing ideas in real life will. Step number 5, you gotta reflect. I reflected weekly. I still do till now. At the end of the week, I ask myself, what did I implement? What did I learn this week? And if it's nothing, then I didn't really learn it, this new information. So if I'm listening to new information and I have a mentorship or I'm trying to develop a new skill and I didn't implement anything in this 1 week, then I haven't learned it yet. Learning is about behavior, not memory. If you cannot use it tomorrow, you didn't really learn it. Even now, I learn every day, but I don't try to learn everything at once. As an example, now that we're growing the business, I know there's going to be so many challenges. I'm bringing on new employees, and these things I'm learning, I'm implementing them now. And sometimes your brain will automatically think of what happened when we get, 15 more new clients. I will get there when I get there. Let's focus on the first 3. Learn about those first 3. How can I grow the system there? And it's just gonna start. I pick one focus for a while and then learn it there. So as with fitness, my goal was to get into a lower percentage body fat. Then my brain automatically was like, okay, when you go there, how are you gonna sustain it? This is not a bad question, but if I kept learning about how sustaining it, well, I haven't even reached the first goal. Then okay, when you sustain it, what supplements? You will keep going into just learning. You will run out of bandwidth in your brain for information. It will just be information. It wouldn't make any impact. But what I did instead, I was like, okay, let me get to my fat percentage goal first. And then at that time, I earned to learn more, to learn how I can sustain that. And that's how I start training my brain to learn new skills. And that's how I went from knowing nothing about business or real estate or entrepreneurship to building companies and making deals. Not by knowing it all, but by learning how to learn. So here's your move for this week. Pick one skill that you really want to master in the next 90 days. Read one thing about it, a book, a podcast, or an article, and then write down and take notes of the things that you can actually implement. Something that stood out, things that you will try, and things that you want to remember. And I promise if you do that, you'll be ahead of 90% of people who just read, highlight, listen to podcasts, and never apply anything. Tag me, Mr. Property O, on Instagram with the skill that you picked, that you're working on. I'll pick 3 people this month totally free and do one-on-one. If they need help with finding deals, real estate, business, trying to leave their 9 to 5, I will show them and share with them things I've done that have helped me, or even break down a deal together. The only ask I have, if this episode gives you any value, follow the show, leave 5-star reviews, and share it with a friend that is chasing their dream. This is Omar, and I will see you all next week.